Hey folks, welcome. My name is Emily and this is Gently Chaotic Knits, which is usually a video podcast series mostly about what I have been knitting and sometimes some other stuff I've been crafting. But today I am planning to do a little bit of a different video. I know it has been a while since I've done like my usual project kind of roundup, but I wanted to take the time today. It is December 31st. 2023, so I wanted to do a little bit of a year-end recap, especially highlighting the garments that I made this year. So just thought I really have a lot of fun recording these types of videos and I think that y'all enjoy them as well. So I'm just gonna go through all the garments that I knit this year. I did not keep as good of like stats about my knitting this year. This year was kind of a wild one for me, and if you don't know why, you can watch some of my other videos. Pretty much any other one is gonna be chaotic enough for you to figure out why it's been a wild year for me. But so I didn't end up keeping track of as much with regards to just like my knitting generally this year, but I do have some kind of like stat type things, and last year I also did a couple of superlatives, so I'm gonna do that again this year. So maybe I'll tell you a couple of general things about my garments, and then we'll go through and I'll go through each one and I'll tell you the pattern, the yarn, all the information. Luckily, I didn't knit that many garments this year. I mean, I knit quite a few, but I didn't knit like 100, so it won't take forever to go through them all. So I feel like I can give each one a little bit of a moment so we can talk about it. I can tell you if I like the pattern, would I knit it again, if I like the yarn, that kind of stuff. And then at the end, I'm going to mention which one was my favorite to knit, which one was my most worn, and which one I would make again. So yeah, I'm a little bit cold right now because I don't have a sweater on, but I figured it didn't really make sense to put a sweater on right now because I'm about to start taking them on and taking them off and whatever. So yeah, I'll try them on for y'all. I'll try to, I don't know. And then of course, like if you have any other questions about any of the patterns or the sweaters or whatever, feel free to drop a comment and ask any questions that you have. And let's get into it. So some just overview numbers. This year in 2023, well, okay, first okay, let's talk about the definitions here. So I'm going through garments this year rather than just sweaters. So this is anything that I would wear like kind of on my torso that I would like, you know, basically it has a head and armholes, like a head hole and armholes. That anything like that I'm counting as a garment. So it doesn't have to be long sleeves. It doesn't even have to be full length body. I'm gonna show you all of the like torso knitted things that, or not just knitted, I did crochet one thing this year, but all of the things that go on my torso, I'm gonna show you all of those. So that's how I'm defining a garment. And then for which year it counts in, I go by what year I finished the garment in, rather than like when I started it or when I knit most of it. I go by when I finished it. So I actually have two garments for this year that I started in 2022, but that I finished them in like January and February of 2023. So those will count for this year. And the same for like, I have a sweater that I'm working on right now that I'm not going to show here because it's not finished. And if I do another one of these wrap up videos in 2024, presumably I will have finished that sweater and I will show it in the 2024 video. So that's just kind of like how we're going to count things. So let's just do the kind of like overview numbers. So I knit, or made, I guess, 16 garments this year. 15 of them were knit and one of them was crochet, or mostly crochet. It has like actually a little bit of knitting in it. I knit 12 of the 16 for myself, and 4 of them I knit for other people. They were like gifts. I knit 9 full sleeve sweaters, like long sleeve, and I knit 7 tees and tanks. So I was really into like the summer knits this year. I really got into like tees and tanks. So I knit 7 of those. I love, if you have watched any of my videos before, you know that I really, really love knitting things along with my friends. So doing like little knit alongs with my friends. And I actually had, my friend Maya and I actually organized a match along this year. So I have here that half of my knits, or half of my makes, I made along with at least one friend, which I love and was super fun. 6 of those 8 were with my friend Maya. We knit a lot of things together. And then 8 things I knit just like no one else knit it with me. I just knit it on my own. And then as far as designers go, those of you that haven't watched me before, or even if you have, things have slowed down for me recently, but I have designed a few patterns myself. So my most knit designer this year was me. Of my 16 garments that I knit, 6 of them were designed by me. And then I only had 2 other designers that I knit multiple of their patterns. And I knit 2 Andrea Mowry patterns, and then I also knit 2 Sari Nordland patterns. Actually, my last 2 patterns of the year, my last 2 garments of the year were both Sari Nordland patterns, and I love them. So those are my most popular designers. So that's kind of generally just the breakdown, but now let's get into it. So I'm just gonna go from like the beginning of the year to the end based on when I finished it. Most of these I have the dates that I actually like started it and ended it, but not all of them. Some of them I only have like the month that I started it in. So we'll do our best. But let's start off with my first finished garment for 2023, which is my stripes. So this was a kind of countdown advent knit that I did mostly at the end of 2022. So the stripes pattern is a design by Andrea Mowry, and I knit this using Stress Knits 2022 countdown calendar, or like her advent, which is on her favorite base, which is an 80-20, I believe. 80% merino, superwash merino, 20% nylon. It's a 2-ply fingering weight base. And then for the collar and the ribbings, I used Woolberry Berry Natural in the colorway Swan Lake. And I will go ahead and toss this on. So the way that I knit this, I actually opened the advent calendar each day, and then I knit a stripe into the sweater as I was opening it. I did make a couple of order modifications just because of my personal preference. So if I opened one and it looked like it was pretty low contrast with the previous day, I would kind of wait and see if I got another one and swap them in. So I ended up doing that, and then actually my husband helped me. He opened them and looked at them and basically like assigned them a value, like light, medium, dark kind of. And he helped me kind of reorganize them without seeing them. So that was really helpful. Anyway, this is not, I guess that's all to say that this is not exactly in the order that the calendar opened. It is mostly in the order, but there were like a few swaps that I did. So I started this on December 4th, 2022. I actually technically I think started it on December 1st, and then I ripped it out and picked a different pattern and restarted it like a couple days later. And I finished it on January 9th of 2023. So just over a month for this one. I did make a couple of, first, this is the size 2. I don't remember if my gauge was on or not, and I didn't have a note of that on my Ravelry page, so I don't remember. I used a US size 4 needle, and I knit this along with my friend Katie. She actually knit it a little bit later than I did, so, but she has finished hers, and we do have matching sweaters now. She just also got this advent and wanted to knit the same pattern, and hers is also super cute. So I think her ordering is different from mine. So our sweaters are not like identical, but they're similar and very cute. So that was super fun. A couple of modifications that I made to this pattern. So the pattern calls for 8 row stripes, but I wanted to do 5 row stripes because I wanted to get through all the colors in the body of the sweater. So each stripe is 5 rows. I also skipped the last short row just based on how like the stripes were going. And similarly, I shifted the placement of the last increase row for the yoke. These are like not super important, but those are the modifications I made. I also remember that I started by knitting the collar and then folded it over and continued on the body rather than like picking it up and knitting it later. I don't remember exactly what the pattern called for, so that may not be a modification. I think it was though. So yeah, really loved knitting this. The experience of knitting one per day, like as I opened it, was so much fun. I loved this. I loved knitting this pattern. The yarn is so pretty. Like the colors are so gorgeous. And I'm really pleasantly surprised by how the circular yoke fits. I've not knit a lot of circular yoke patterns and I really love how this one fits. So altogether, I feel like it was a success. Enjoyed the pattern, enjoyed the yarn. The only thing I'll say is I did not wear this sweater that much. And I think it's just because it's like really colorful and I find that I like grab my sweaters that are more solid or neutrals or just like, you know, basic cozy sweaters. I find myself gravitating towards more. So I haven't worn this one a ton, but that's not to say that I don't love it. It's just, I feel like it doesn't fit with my wardrobe as well. But when I do wear it, I really love it. So, and I really loved making it. So I would say overall, definitely a success. So that was garment number 1. Oh, okay. And I guess I should have said too, some of these garments I don't have with me. I guess I probably could because I am in my parents' house and their sweaters are here. But the ones that are gifts that I knit for other people, I don't have them with me. So I'll just, maybe I should just talk about those all at once so we don't, I don't know. Okay, actually, you know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna talk about all of these at once and then we're just gonna be done with that. So sweaters number 2, or garments number 2, 6, 11, and 13 for this year were all gift knits. And I knit the dad sweater pattern, which is a pattern by me, for my mom, brother, sister, and husband. So last year I knit it for myself and I knit it for my dad, but this year I knit them for the rest of my family. So those were my 4 gift knits, my 4 garments that I knit for other people. The first one I finished was for my mom, and I used, for 3 of these, I used Rerum Natura Gilliatt. For my mom, I used the colorway Sauge, which is like a really nice light bluish green, maybe more on the green side, like a sagey color. For my brother, I also used Rerum Natura Gilliatt in the colorway Cypres. And then I knit my husband's, which I actually do have here, so I'll just show this one to represent all of them. But for my husband, I did Rerum Natura Gilliatt in the colorway Fusain, which is, I love this color, and honestly, I wear this sweater just as much, if not more, than my husband does because I'm obsessed with it. And for my sister, I used actually the original yarn that I used for mine and my dad's, which is La Bien-Aimée Corrie worsted in the colorway Lichen. So I knit like different sizes of them. I don't feel like I need to go through like exactly all of them. I actually do think I have Ravelry pages for most of them, so you can find the information if you want to, because I can talk about this one more specifically because I actually do wear it, and so I can put it on so that you can see it. So the dad sweater pattern is one that I released last year in November. It is a top-down, I guess it's technically a set and sleeve. But you pick up, you don't have to sew the sleeves in. You pick up around the armhole and do short rows to shape the sleeve cap, or like the top of the sleeves, and then knit the rest of the sleeves and the body. This one I actually modified the sleeves to be less kind of large and cozy. All the other ones I've knit have like a really generous sleeve, but for my husband, I knew his preference was to have a little bit of a slimmer sleeve, so I modified this one to have a slimmer sleeve. like I said, the pattern originally calls for Labia and Aimée Corrie worsted, which I definitely recommend. That is a lovely yarn. I love working with it. It has a great feel to it, and that yarn was actually kind of what inspired the pattern in the first place. And of course, I recommend the pattern because it's mine and I designed it. So of course I like it. And now at this point I've knit it 6 times. So let's see, what else can I say? The Rerum Natura Gilliatt that I used for the 3 other dad sweaters that I knit, also really, really love this yarn. It has a little bit of a different feel and drape. It's definitely lighter than the Corrie worsted. It's also thicker, so I ended up having my gauge I could not match it exactly with the gauge that I got when I used Corrie worsted, which ended up being fine, but just something to account for. Corrie worsted is like characterized, I think technically as a worsted weight yarn, but I think it behaves much more like a DK weight yarn, and Rerum Natura Gilliatt is a true like worsted weight yarn. So anyway, I just made adjustments for what size I knit for each of these. I basically could knit one size smaller to get the measurements of the size that I wanted. I don't know if that makes sense. So for this one, for example, my husband wanted he wanted the measurements of a size 2 broad shoulder, and I knit a size 1 broad shoulder, and I got the measurements of the size 2. And I guess that's a good thing to note as well. This pattern has both a standard shoulder and broad shoulder size range, which basically means that there's one size range that follows women's size charts and one that follows men's size charts. So I knit a couple of broad shoulder for some of the folks in my family, and then I knit the standard shoulder for others. But you can always check your measurements and see which one works best for you. So anyway, this is, I think, a really enjoyable pattern to knit. I could probably knit it with my eyes closed now just because I've knit 6 of them. And I don't think that it's the last dad sweater that I will knit. I think I will knit more, but I may take a break. I don't know. Maybe I'll take 2024 off and I'll be back to knitting dad sweaters again in 2025. But I have knit a lot of them. So anyway, that was garments, again, garments 2, 6, 11, and 13. So we just got 4 of those out of the way. Okay, so for garment number 3, I knit the Port sweater by Ozetta. Here it is. And I used Rerum Natura Ulysse, which is kind of like the baby brother of Rerum Natura Gilliatt. Same fiber content and everything feels very similar, but the Ulysse is a sport weight, whereas the Gilliatt is a worsted weight. And I held it with Grenouille lace Suri, so it's like a lace weight Suri alpaca and silk, in the colorway Nacht Musik, which is this gorgeous dark teal that I love so much, and I think paired perfectly with the Ulysse and made just like the most gorgeous fabric. So yeah, this is Port, and I can toss it on so that you can see it. I knit size 2, I believe, and used a US size 7 needle, which I think was smaller than the pattern called for, a smaller needle than the pattern called for. I'm a little bit of a loose knitter, so I generally have to size down my needle size. I don't remember if I got gauge exactly, but I think I was close enough. And I really love this one. I loved the pattern. I feel like it knit up really quickly. I started it, let's see, I started it on February 4th and finished on February 23rd. So I knit this in like 3 weeks. It is super cozy. You can see it has like a little bit of a mock neck, but it's not like super tight to the neck. And the fabric feels amazing. The lace Suri from Grenouille with the lightweight wool from Rerum Natura, it was just like a perfect pairing. I feel like this is really, really nice. Let's see, anything else? I didn't make any modifications. I did knit this along with my friend Maya. This was our first matching knit for the year, and we wore them together when we went to the Rose City Yarn Crawl in Portland, which was a ton of fun. So yeah, this one is definitely a success. I think it has gotten a ton of wear from me this year. I have considered at times folding the collar over, not because I don't like the way that it is, but I think I just personally prefer like a fold over collar, and I think that just fits my style a little bit better. Like there's something about the mock neck that feels like fancy to me. I don't know. I guess y'all can let me know what you think. Should I fold over the collar and like sew it down, or should I leave it as is? I don't know. I'll probably leave it as is. I like it, but I do feel like mine is, like I said, it's not close to the neck, which I like, but also it's like a little bit at the back. It's a little kind of gapey almost. I'm wondering if it's just because the yarn that I used has a little bit less structure. I guess I could put, like I could undo the bind off and redo it a little bit tighter, or I could put some elastic in it or something. I don't know, it's not bad. I still wear it, like wore it a ton, and I'm happy to wear it as is, but I'm just considering if there are a couple things I could do that it would make me want to wear it even more. But the sleeve is so nice and cozy. The body is super cozy, really nice and oversized. The color, this is one of my very favorite colors, and I feel like it's a good color on me as well, which makes me want to wear it more. So yeah, love this one. Love this one for sure. Okay, next, garment number 4 was actually my only design sample that I published this year, which is the color tip tee. So this was my first. I knit 2 of these this year. This was my first and the kind of like original design sample. I knit and re-knit this sample so many times just to get it perfectly right. This is knit out of Purl Soho linen quill. The main color is pale oats. And then this one, the blue, is vintage Celadon. The little pink here on the pocket is honey pink. The red on the sleeves is, I think, chestnut red. And then the yellow is turmeric yellow. And the little bits of color I had left over from a shawl project that I knit last year. And then I just got some more of the, like in the cream, to make this super fun t-shirt. So this was really fun to knit. This is size 2. I used a 2.5 needle, but the pattern actually calls for a US 3 because I recognize that my gauge is a little loose. And I think most of my testers had success with a 3. Let me put it on so you can see it. I am really proud of this pattern. This was, like I mentioned, the only pattern that I released this year just because there's a lot of other stuff going on this year, and so I only made time to get one pattern out. But this was a really successful pattern release for me. I'm really happy with how the pattern turned out. I'm really, really proud of this one. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I think the fit is really fun. Or the fit is good. The pattern is really fun. The pocket is fun. All the edgings are fun. But I also think you'll see later I knit another sample of this that is just a solid color and a little bit of a different fit. And I love it too. So I think it's really, I don't want to say, I guess it's like customizable. You can really edit this to make it exactly how it's going to work for you. I also had this whole process with designing the sleeves that I ended up knitting and re-knitting the sleeves so many times because I just really wanted them to be perfect, and I'm really, really happy with how they ended up. I know it may not look that fancy, or I don't know, may not look like it's that big of a deal, but I'm so happy with how the sleeves turned out, and I'm really proud of it. So this one is just one I'm really, really proud of. I started it in, I don't have the exact dates for this one. I started it in March of 2023 and I finished it in April of 2023, and then the pattern released in May of 2023. And I didn't technically knit this along with anyone because, of course, like I was knitting it by myself because I designed it, but I've had lots of my friends have knit them, and a lot of my friends test knit for me as well. So I guess it kind of counts. I didn't count it in my total for makes that I did like along with someone else, but it kind of is that way because I have sweet friends that test knit for me. So that is my color tip tee. My next one is the Vellichor by Andrea Mowry. So this was my second Andrea Mowry pattern for the year. This is garment number 5. And I don't remember which side is the front and which is the back. They're actually the same, so it doesn't really matter. I guess this is the front. I use the main color. This blue is Ovis, etc. Herba in the Favorite Jeans colorway. And the contrast is Spincycle dyed in the wool in the Shades of Earth colorway. So I don't know if you can actually really see the Spincycle super well. But I am really happy with how this turned out. This was a, oh, sorry, pups barking. This was a matching knit that I knit along with my friend Maya that we knit and finished actually just before her birthday at the end of April. So I started it April 1st and finished it April 24th, 2023. I knit size 1 on a US size 3 needle. I think that is down 1 or 2 needle sizes from what the pattern calls for. Let me put it on so that you can see it. This one was the one, I don't know if y'all remember, if you watched my video when I was casting this on, I had so much trouble getting this cast on. I just kept screwing up the cast on and having to restart like 3 or 4 times. So that was super annoying. But I'm really happy with it. This is, I'll scoot back a little so you can see it. The fit is super cute and boxy. It has this like kind of high boat neck, and I feel like that is probably what kept me from wearing it. Although I kind of like it on top of a t-shirt. I don't know if I would wear it on top of this t-shirt because the stripes are a little bit much, but on top of like a plain t-shirt, maybe I would wear it more. But the colors are really fun. The shape is really fun. It was actually, the stitch pattern was really fun to knit. It is mosaic knitting. So you get that kind of color work effect, but you don't have to ever knit with more than 1 yarn per row. If you are unfamiliar with mosaic knitting, that's kind of how it works. You use slip stitches and you only have 1 yarn per row. So you kind of go through each row with each yarn. And I feel like it turned out super cute. I'm happy with it. And I don't know, I'm glad that I'm doing this and I'm going through all of the garments because I'm remembering ones that I knit this year that I really like that I feel like I didn't wear a ton. I mean, of course it's December now, so I won't probably wear this for a while, but I need to remember to pull it out and wear it more next, like spring and summer. Because the color is also really fun. I'm very much a blue person. And originally I was planning to do like a mustardy yellow main color for this with the same Spincycle, which I think would have been really good, but I'm glad I went with the blue. I feel like the blue just works really well with it. So yeah, that is my Vellichor. Was there anything else I need to say with it? I don't think I made any mods. I don't remember if my gauge was on. I need to, that's a goal. That's a goal for 2024 is better notes and remember what, like if my gauge was on, and I should also probably like measure my knits at the end and like put that in my Ravelry page so that I know how much ease I have and so that y'all know how much ease I have, because I don't know how much ease this is. Like here you can kind of see there's my body, there's the sweater. That's not a very specific measurement, but you get the idea from that. So okay, anyway, that is Vellichor by Andrea Mowry. That was number 5. I finished that in April. And then number 6 is actually another dad sweater. So I already talked about those. That in May, I finished the one for my brother. On May 8th, I finished the one for my brother just in time for his birthday. And for that one, I used Rerum Natura Gilliatt in the colorway Cypres. I think I already talked about that though. So yeah. That was number 6. Then number 7, garment number 7, was my second color tip tee sample that I knit. I mentioned all in 1 color, no pocket, and I actually knit this one size smaller, so I'll show you what the fit difference is like. So for this one, I knit a size 1, and I also used a US 2.5 needle. I think my gauge is on or close for this one. And this is, I think, the fastest garment that I knit. Maybe not the fastest, but it's close. I started this one on May 9th and I finished it May 18th. And I am in love with this t-shirt. I love it so much. I think the fit turned out really cute. It is less ease than I intended when I wrote the pattern. I think it works well for me because I actually have narrow shoulders, and so going one size down is not like too narrow on my shoulders, but the closer fit on the bust and like the body, I think is really cute. And I love this yarn. So this yarn, I think I said, is Grenouille. This is her sock linen base, so it's a single ply base actually. I think it's 90% merino and 10% linen, or like 85-15 or something like that. There's like just a little bit of linen in it, and you can see that in the like lighter colored specks kind of. Yeah, and the colorway is Lampblack, which is an all-time favorite for me. This gray color is amazing. I love it so much. I wore this t-shirt so much. I wore it so much. Every morning in like the summer and even early fall, I woke up and was like, this is what I want to wear. Okay, not every morning, but you know what I mean. I wore this a ton. I think that it just being a solid made it so wearable for me, and I think the fit and the ability to layer it with other stuff, it was just perfect. I love it. I wore it all the time. And if I knit another color tip tee, I think I would knit this size for myself again. I just really like the fit of this. So yeah, that is my second color tip tee. Again, that was a design by me that released in May of this year. And yeah, I finished this one just before the pattern release. I think the pattern release was like around May 23rd-ish or something like that. And I finished this one May 18th, so just in time. Okay, now we're definitely in the like tees and tanks summer knits category. So my 8th garment for the year was the Totally Tank Top by Jessie May. I knit this in La Bien Aimée Cash Merino in the Yellow Brick Road colorway. I got this just like one skein of it. I think at the Rose City Yarn Crawl one year. Maybe I got it at, I don't remember where I got it. Doesn't matter, but I knit for this size 2. I used a US 2.5 needle. I normally would not wear this on top of a t-shirt, but that's what we're gonna do for now. So it may look a little weird, but that's fine. Let's see, I started this May 26th and finished it June 6th, so it was another quick one. And I actually knit this. I didn't write down that this counts as like a knit along with friends or anything, but I did knit this for the summer flock along, which was a knit along that corresponded with the Flock Fiber Festival. So folks knit tees and tanks to wear at the Fiber Festival. So this was one of my summer flock along projects, and I like it. I really like how it turned out. I think the fit is cute. This is another one that I really like and I enjoyed knitting, but I don't wear a ton. And I don't know if it's just like the shape. Maybe it's like the neckline that I don't wear a lot, or I don't know, maybe I just didn't figure out how to style it super well. But I like it. I just didn't find myself grabbing it very often in like the summer. Yeah, nothing against the yarn or the pattern. I think it's just maybe wasn't the right shape for me. There's at the same time, Jessie May came out with another pattern called Mini Mock Neck, and I have not knit that, but I really want to. And some other folks, some of my friends have knit it, and they really love it. And so I really want to try that one next to see if maybe like the neckline and the shape is better for me, if I like that one more, if I find myself wearing it more. But I don't know if I had enough yarn for that one. So, and also I think this one came out sooner and I was like ready to cast on, and so I cast on. I don't know if it's the color. Like, I love this color of yellow, but maybe I just don't love this color on me. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but totally tank top. No, like, I have no issues with this at all, but it was not one of my like more worn garments. Okay, next was another summer flock along project, and this one I did knit along with some friends. This is the Strata Vest by Jacqueline Cieslak. I used Explorer Knits and Fibers Denali sock in the Pike Place colorway. This colorway was actually in collaboration with La Mercerie, which is the yarn store that I worked at for the first half of 2023. Allie and the Explorer Knits team dyed up an entire Seattle collection for a pop-up at La Mercerie, and this beautiful like bright orangey red was part of that Seattle collection, and is inspired by the bright red Pike Place public market sign at Pike Place in Seattle. And the colorway is so perfect. It perfectly matches the inspiration. It's unbelievable. I knit this, not this exact pattern, but I knit this project along with some of my friends in my Seattle knitting group. Pacific Knit West is what we call ourselves. And we all knit different patterns. Let me see if I can get this off. My bind off on the bottom is a little bit tight. We all knit different patterns, but used the same yarn. So we all had cute little bright red tops, and we wore them at Flock Fiber Festival. So this was also a summer flock along project as well. So yeah, this is the Strata Vest by Jacqueline Cieslak. I really love this. I did wear it a few times. I think I've worn it exclusively as a vest, maybe once or twice. I've worn it just as a top, but I really love it as a vest. I have worn it just over like t-shirts like this, or I have a specific dress that's like a little black and white colored dress that I think it layers really nicely with. I can scoot up so you can see the bottom. I think the fit and the shape is really cute. And this is another one where I did wear it some, but I wish I had worn it more. I just feel like it's so cute. And the color is really fun. I don't know, but okay, let me give you more of the information about it. I knit size 2 and used a US size 4 needle, and I started it on June 6th and finished it June 24th. So this is also a very quick knit for me. Okay, like this is so cute. On top of this t-shirt too, I wish it was warmer today. I would just wear this. Like, this is really cute. And so I knit another red, or I made another red vest later in the year, and I feel like I wore it more, but I should wear this one more. This is really cute. Okay. Remember that. Wear this one more. But this is knit in a fingering weight, and the other one that I made was much heavier, and so I think just because it's been colder, like fall and winter, I've been wearing the other one more, and it's much more of like a warmer red. I guess I can show it to you just very quickly. We'll get to more info about it later, but it's a much, well, I guess technically it's a cooler red, but it's like more fall and winter for sure, and this one is so bright that it's much more, I think, for like spring and maybe spring and summer maybe, but this one I've worn a lot more recently just because I think it fits the season better. But we'll talk about this later. We're not to that yet. But yeah, Strata Vest. I really like this. I don't think I made any modifications. Maybe I knit actually I'm pretty sure I knit the edging here around the neck a little bit shorter than was called for. But I'm actually not even 100% sure about that. But the fit is great. I think the fit is really, really nice. And I love this. And I should wear it more. So that was garment number 9. Okay, garment number 10. Another summer knit, and I believe this is my last one. So this is my last summer like tee or tank. I knit the Tulsta tee by the Creabea, Rebecca. And I knit this out of, I believe this may actually be the original yarn that she used as well. This is Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino held double. The main color is soft aqua and the contrast color is dark ochre. And this was the first project of the match along that my friend Maya and I hosted together. So I did knit this along with my friend Maya. She knit the same pattern but swapped, and the same yarn, but swapped the main color and the contrast color. So hers has dark ochre as the main color and soft aqua as the contrast color, which is super fun. I knit the size 2 on a US size 7 needle, and I started this on June 24th and finished it July 9th. So it was another super quick one. Let me toss it on top of here so that you can see it. This one I had, I have a pair of like short overalls that I wore this with a ton and I loved. I feel like it was just super cute with that. I can scoot back so you can see it a little bit. I believe we did make a slight modification and did a little bit fewer stitches cast on just so the neck was a little tighter, and then a few more rows before getting into the stripes, just so that it would be like a little bit closer up on the neck. But I think Rebecca actually outlines those modifications for one of her Tulsta versions in the pattern, so I believe we just kind of followed that. The stripes are super fun. This is just like a great classic t-shirt. And I wore it for sure some. I feel like since I finished this one in July, I didn't get as much wear out of it just because it started to get cold. But I did wear it some before then and I liked it. So yeah, Tulsta tee. That was number 10. Oh, and I really like this yarn. This is the first time I used this yarn. I used it held double, so it was a little different. It doesn't, I mean, it's cotton and wool. It's like a cotton and wool blend. And I think it's more cotton than wool, but the wool still gives it that like squish and bounce. So it didn't hurt my hands. It wasn't hard to work with, but you still get kind of the benefits of the cotton. And I really liked it. So I did enjoy this yarn. I would work with it again. So yeah. Okay. Garment number 11 was another one of the dad sweaters that I knit for my family. This one was actually the one that I knit for my husband, which I actually already showed you. I don't remember when I started, the day I started it or the day I finished it. This I have written down here that I started it in May and finished it in July. So I think I just kind of had it on the needles in the background while I was knitting all these other like tees and tanks. But I already talked about it, so we don't need to talk about it anymore. My next, okay, so this actually I'll say, I had kind of a void in my knitting. So I kept track. I had like a list in the back of my planner where I kept track of all of the garments that as I was finishing them, and I wrote down for each month which ones I was finishing because my goal was to finish at least one garment every month. So I finished 16 garments, which is more than 12. So I mean, as far as like from a numbers perspective, I definitely got there, but I did not actually finish one garment every month. And the reason I didn't is because I did not finish a garment in August. So August was, or I guess I should say mostly July, like the lead up to August, was kind of wild for me. It was a really hectic time. My husband and I were preparing for making like a really big change in our lives. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I've talked about this in the past, so I'm not going to talk about it a ton here, but basically my husband and I had been living in Seattle. We left Seattle and we moved like basically all of our stuff back to Oklahoma where our families are, and have been traveling full-time or mostly full-time since early September. So there was tons of preparation that had to be happening for that. And then I also was still at La Mercerie and was very involved in helping organized Flock Fiber Festival, which happened for the first time this August and was incredible and so much fun, but also like a lot of time and effort and work. So managing all of that at the same time meant that I just wasn't knitting as much, and so I actually didn't finish anything in August, which is fine. I'm fine with that, but it does mean I didn't finish a garment every month, and it means that I also probably didn't finish as much as I otherwise would have, but that's okay. Like, I'm okay with that, but that is why I have a little bit of a gap here. So that last one I finished in July, like mid-July, and then this one I actually didn't finish until October. Oh, I counted this for September, but I actually didn't finish this till October 1st, so I don't think I finished anything in September or October, and it's actually inside out, so let me get it right side out. But I guess I did not finish anything in August or September. I think I counted it as September, but that was maybe a little generous of me because I had on my Ravelry page that I finished this October 1st. But this is the Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit. I knit this in Explore Knits and Fibers Boucle DK in the colorway Pollen, which I just love. You may notice I love yellow and mustard, and I have more of it in more of these kinds of colors in my stash to knit for next year as well. This was a knit that I did along with my friend Maya. We went to the New York Sheep and Wool Festival in Rhinebeck, New York together this year, and we planned a couple of projects that we could knit and wear together there. And so these were also a part of the match along that we hosted together this year. So I finished this one just in time for Rhinebeck, and I really like how it turned out. It was my first time using boucle, and the gauge was definitely off. So I knit a size 1 on a US 5 needle. So I definitely went down a needle size or 2, maybe, I don't know how many needle sizes I went down. The fabric is so nice and drapey and light, and I love it. It's so squishy. The fabric is to die for. I just really, really love it. The gauge was so off that I used way less yarn than I expected to. I think I used like 2.5 skeins of yarn for this, and I bought 4. So I have like a skein and a half left of this yarn. This is like my favorite outfit to wear with this sweater. I love it on top of this striped shirt. I think it's just really cute. I also have like a couple collared shirts that I love to wear it on top of as well that I really like. I think I made the sleeves a tiny bit too short. You can see them here. I have knit this pattern before. I knit the Cumulus blouse. I did a version with Suri silk, like a lace weight Suri silk held double, and I made the sleeves too long, and I think I was so scared of that I just what is the word I'm trying to think of? Overcompensated, I guess, and so I made the sleeves too short. So maybe someday I'll go back and I'll make the sleeves a little longer, but to be honest with you, I probably won't. They're not that much shorter than I would want, so I'm probably just gonna call it good. But this sweater has a ton of ease, like a lot of ease, so it's very oversized and cozy and comfy. It has maybe a little more ease than it needs. It has a little more ease than I maybe would want in an ideal world, but it's still cozy and good. Yeah, I think because I was already knitting the smallest size, I would have had to do some work and math to figure out how to make it smaller on my own, and I just didn't do that. So yeah, but I still really love it. I have worn it quite a bit since then. I wore it at New York Sheep and Wool, and I've worn it like a few times since then as well. So yeah, that is my Cumulus blouse. Is there anything else that I needed to say about that? I don't think so. Okay, and then finished object number 13, or garment number 13, was my last dad sweater that I knit for my family. So this one was for my sister. This is the one I knit in Corrie worsted. I started in August. I finished it October 8th. I actually finished it while I was with my sister visiting her in Wisconsin. So I had to finish it. I had a firm deadline. I had to finish it and block it before leaving to make sure that it worked and fit her and that I could leave it with her. So yeah, that was, I already talked about those a little bit. That was garment number 13. Garment number 14 was my one crochet garment that I made this year. This was also a match-along project that I made with my friend Maya and also our friend Nikki, who worked at La Mercerie. Well, she still works there, but I worked there with her. And she taught us how to do this crochet stitch and kind of like helped us and guided us through making these vests, which turned out so cute. And let me toss it on because I love this vest. I've worn it a ton. There is a crochet pattern, but we made kind of a ton of modifications to it. And it is not the most inclusive pattern. So Maya actually found a comparable, like a very similar looking knit pattern, which I will link below if you want to make something that has like a similar vibe to it. The yarn I used is Rerum Natura Ulysse. So I would say the Rerum Natura line is definitely my most used yarn of 2023. Gilliatt and Ulysse together, I've used both very often. But this is Ulysse in the colorway Amarant. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And then I held it with Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the colorway Claret. And there are still some ends, you may have noticed me kind of tucking them in, that I have not woven in, but that is okay. I love this vest. I love this vest. I've worn it so much. I love layering it. I haven't worn it just like by itself as a top, but I could. It is very boxy. I was worried about it being too tight, and so I really, really aggressively blocked it, and it turned out great. So most of it was crocheted, but the edgings here and around the armholes were knit. And that was just like kind of freestyled. And yeah, I love it. I don't know what else to say about it. I don't know that there's really anything else to say. The color I think is really, really fun and pretty. This is the first of my stretch of red finished garments because all that's left to see is red. These are my last 3 garments of the year. So I definitely was on a red kick. But I love this, and yeah, wore it a ton. I know I'm gonna keep wearing it. I love it over like just a t-shirt, long sleeve tee, over a turtleneck, over a dress, over a collared shirt, anything I think is perfect. So, and the color is really fun. And I'm proud of it because I kind of learned how to crochet to make this, which I'm very proud of. So yeah, I mean, I could not have done it with the help of my friend Nikki, honestly, but yeah, happy with this one. So that was number 14, and then just 2 more. So number 15 is the Hour pullover by Sari Nordland that I knit in Life in the Long Grass Sport in the colorway Barn, held with Farmer's Daughter Fibers Odang Suri, which is the Suri silk lace weight, in the colorway Pretty Shield. The Suri silk colorway I got when I went to New York last year, and I fell in love with this color so much, and I just knew that I had to pair it with something to make the coziest and most pretty colored sweater ever. And I found this sport weight yarn in Portland at the Rose City Yarn Crawl and knew it would just be, okay, that's a lie. I didn't know it would be a perfect fit. I bought it hoping that it would be a perfect fit. And then the entire time I was driving home, I was very anxious that it would not be a perfect fit. And my friend Maya was like, Emily, you're being crazy. Like, it's going to be great. And then I got home and it was great. And so I don't want to say I knew it would be a perfect fit because I very much did not. And I was very nervous, but it was a perfect fit. It turned out great. And then I cast this sweater on like right after that because I was so excited about it and I loved the yarn so much. And then I got drawn away by gift knits and summer knits, and so I didn't finish it until, let's see, November 27th. So I cast this on in February and I didn't finish it until November. But now that it's done, I love it. It's so cozy. I've worn it a ton since I finished it. I mean, I finished it like basically a month ago and I've worn it like 4 or 5 times since then. I more than that probably. I took it on our most recent trip and I wore it a ton there. I really love it. The color, this I think is my favorite color right now. Just this is my favorite color right now. This like really beautiful rusty reddish pink color. I love so much. It is so oversized and cozy and it just feels, the yarn feels incredible. It feels like I'm wrapped in a hug. Like, it's amazing. This was my first ever bottom-up raglan, and I think just because it's so oversized, like when I joined everything together, like the sleeves and the body together, it was a lot. So as far as knitting it goes, like there was nothing wrong with the pattern, but I don't know that I'm a huge fan of bottom-up raglans generally. But as far as the finished product goes, I'm very happy with how it turned out. So like no complaints there, but knitting it was at times like a little bit cumbersome. But the yarn, both yarns were great to work with and the colors are incredible. I'm very happy with. And again, like I wear this a lot. So I'm really happy with this. Maybe I'll leave this on today and just wear it because I love it so much. So yeah, started February 27th, finished November 27th. I guess that's 10 months later. Whoops. But I really did. It's not like I was working on it that whole time. I knit, I think maybe like 4 or 5 inches of the body in like at the beginning of February. And then I completely put it on hold until like October. I brought it back and then I finished it. So, but yeah, love this one. It would definitely have been in the running for most worn if I'd finished it earlier in the year. It's not because I didn't finish it until a month ago. So like I couldn't have worn it that much, but it could be one of my most worn sweaters of 2024 for sure. And yeah, my last finished garment, my 16th garment of 2023 was my Aurelia sweater, which I could not be more pleased with. Oh, you guys, I love this sweater so, so much. Yeah, I don't even know when to say I started this. This one was really a process, but I guess I'll talk about the yarn and stuff first. So I used Sorella Cashmere DK in the colorway Brick, which is from their Autumn in New York collection. You can tell I'm really into these like warm rusty reds right now because this is almost the exact same color as this one. It's a little bit darker, like more red, a little cooler I guess than this one. Less orange, but this was, I mean, it's the definition of a labor of love, right? Like, look at it. It's fully cabled all over, body, sleeves, everything. I originally cast this on with my friend Maya in November of 2022, I think. And we were working on it and we're trying to finish it by the end of last year, and then just ended up stopping. Actually, I'll talk about this a little bit in a second, but my friend Maya had a little bit of a elbow issue, and the cables specifically were hurting her to work on, and so we decided to just kind of put it aside for a while and come back later. And so then we cast on again. We actually also had some issues, so this sweater just really really took some turns to get here. But so we cast on last November, then we paused on it. Last year, I think we both cast on size 1. And part of the reason I cast on size 1 was because I didn't think I had enough yarn. I only had 4 skeins of the Cashmere DK. And I thought I needed to knit size 1. Like, I didn't think I had enough yarn for size 2, but we both kind of cast on size 1 and weren't really happy with it and thought that maybe size 2 would be better. And so I was able to get my hands on a couple more skeins of yarn, and then we recast on this year in August, and this was actually going to be our Rhinebeck sweaters, but it just, I think we started a little bit late and Maya was still having a little bit of an elbow issue with the cables, and so we pivoted, and that's when we decided to knit our Cumulus blouses in the boucle. And that we were able to finish in time and turned out great, super happy with it. But after talking about it a little bit, we kind of decided that, well, we decided that what we might do, since the cables are hurting Maya a little bit, is I could finish my Aurelia, and then I could also finish her Aurelia. And then, because I hate knitting color work, you'll notice that none of the garments that I finished this year were color work, because I hate knitting color work. Maya will knit us each a color work sweater. So I'll do 2 cabled sweaters, 1 for me and 1 for her. And then she will do 2 color work sweaters, 1 for me, 1 for her. So once we made that decision, I decided I would go ahead and try to finish Aurelia for myself for this year. And then next year I will knit her Aurelia and she will knit the colorwork sweaters next year. It's kind of the plan. So once I made that decision and we decided like that's how we're gonna do it, I was like I was racing to get this one finished because I wanted to finish it before the holidays, because how perfect of a holiday sweater is this? Like, it's amazing. So I was actually on a trip for a lot of this time, but luckily it was a road trip and my husband is very sweet and drives most of the time for us. So he did a lot of the driving, and while he was driving, I did a lot of knitting, and so I finished it. So I finished it on December 21st, and I will say I had knit like to maybe here in the yoke before picking it back up, and I knit most of this sweater in basically 3 weeks, which I'm very proud of because look at it. It's like, it's kind of intense. Like, that's a lot of cables. But I think it turned out really, really good. The fit, the drape, the color, the yarn, everything is really, really nice. This is I don't remember the exact percentages, but it's mostly like a superwash merino with a little bit of cashmere in it, so it feels really nice. I think the sleeve length on this one is perfect. I nailed it. I nailed the sleeve length. The one modification I did make is I kept knitting the yoke, like the raglan, past when the pattern said to stop. It did say in the instructions, like, you may need to add some length to your yoke, so like try it on and knit more if you want, but I knit quite a bit more. I think I knit like 2 inches more. I kept trying it on and I was really nervous that it was going to be like too short. I think I could have stopped sooner, but it could be a little bit tighter and it would be okay, but I am happy with how it turned out. Like, I think it fits well now. So yeah. What else? I guess, I should say this is size 2 and I knit it on a size US 7 needle, it's US 7 knitting needle. Most of it. I did the ribbing on like a smaller needle. Nice twisted ribbing, nice tubular bind offs on all of the edgings, and yeah, I love this one. I love it. I love it. It honestly was not like, it was a lot of knitting and it was kind of intense, but it was pretty enjoyable to knit, to be honest. And I'm not dreading knitting another one. And part of me, like the color that Maya's is so beautiful that part of me is like, I want one in that color too. Like, should I knit 2 more? Is that wild? I don't know, maybe, but I love the sweater. I feel like it's just such a beautiful piece. Like, this feels like, I don't know. This feels like the most impressive and beautiful thing I've ever knit. I don't know. Maybe it's not, but I love it. I feel like it's so pretty. And I don't know. I can't stop gushing over it because I love it so much. I feel like it turned out beautifully. I wore it basically 3 days in a row for all of our holiday activities, because how can you not? Like, this is the perfect red cabled sweater for all like Christmas and holiday activities. My battery did die, which I probably should have predicted because I've been talking about sweaters for over an hour. But I think I was talking about, I think I was just gushing over the sweater. I don't remember exactly where I left off, but I probably don't need to talk about it much longer. I love this one and I'm really proud of it, and there it is. And that was my last finished garment of 2023. So overall, I would say definitely more gift knits than I've ever done in a year before. So pros and cons to that. I had kind of like a weird dry spell in the middle where I didn't make a ton of stuff for like a few months, and I didn't finish anything for 2 months, which is kind of rare for me. So I feel like that affected what I was able to finish this year, but still finished a lot of stuff that I really, really love. I think I can say with confidence, I've entered my red era. My last 3 garments were all red, and I knit other red garments previously in the year, like earlier in the year as well. So lots of red for me this year, which I love and I think is very fun. Let's go into some superlatives. So the 3 that I did last year that I was gonna do again this year, my favorite to knit, so the one that I enjoyed knitting the most. It's actually kind of tough to think about because I enjoyed knitting a lot of the things I made this year, but the one that I just kept thinking about, that I kept coming back to, was my stripes sweater. This is actually the first one that I finished and the garment that I mostly knit actually in 2022. So I don't know if this should count or not, but I loved knitting this like along with opening the advent each day. Like, I opened the little countdown skein and then I would knit it into the sweater, and just the process of doing that I really loved. So I would say this was the most enjoyable one for me to knit, just because I loved that. Like, I loved that process. As far as just like the pattern goes, like what pattern I enjoyed knitting the most, I mean, I like knitting my patterns. So dad sweater and color tip tee are always going to be up there. But surprisingly, I also think that Aurelia is up there for me. I think there's something about that sense of accomplishment, and I didn't hate doing the cables as much as I thought I would. With this sweater, I also learned how to do cables without a cable needle, and that I think really increased my enjoyment of it. So I really liked knitting it for that reason as well. But yeah, I guess I would probably say stripes would be my #1 favorite to knit. The other one I was gonna do is would knit again. So I am gonna knit Aurelia again. So that's a definite, like, I know I'm knitting that one again. So of course I would knit it again. As far as something that I would knit again for myself, like, I liked knitting the pattern enough that I would make it again. Maybe this is another kind of like cop-out answer, but I would say color tip tee. I would definitely knit again, and I probably will knit again. It was such a quick knit. I love the finished product, both the single color version and the multicolor version. I also feel like this would be a really fun one to knit for others. Like, I already have the idea and plans to make one for my sister. And just the way that this one fits, I want more. Like, I want more of it. I want another one. So I think that's my most likely to knit again for myself. But I may not. Like, I may hold off for a while. But I do think that this is my most likely to knit again. And then my most worn knit is easily this color tip tee. This gray color tip tee, I think easily was my most worn knit of this year. Part of that, and like the things that I finished later in the year they have no shot because I just didn't have as much of the year. So maybe this is unfair. Maybe I should do like what I think I'll wear the most. But again, like, you don't really know. Like, it's really hard to know what you're gonna wear A lot of these that I finished, I thought I was gonna wear a ton and then I didn't wear as much as I thought. So anyway, I'm just going based on what I actually wore the most this year, and it's this. And I think even some of the other stuff that I finished later, I wouldn't have worn as much as this. I love this t-shirt. It's perfect basic tee. I wear this like I would wear a t-shirt that I bought. Like, it doesn't matter that it's handmade. I wear it all the time. I wore it every day in the summer, basically. I wore it under stuff, like layered. I wore it by itself. I love it. And that's part of the reason why I want to make more, is because I feel like this is a great basic t-shirt. So this is definitely the garment that I wore the most. If we're going for sweater that I wore the most, so like full sleeve, I think that it's probably my port. I think I wore my port the most this year. And part of that is just because I finished it in February, so I had like a lot more time to wear it. But this is a perfect like cozy throw over, don't think about it. I wore it, I think when I finished it, I wore it for like a week straight. And then I definitely found myself grabbing for it this fall and winter as well. So port sweater, I think, is probably my second place for what I wore the most. So, and my first place for sweater that I wore the most, just because the t-shirt, I didn't know if that really counted. So, I mean, I guess I make the rules, so I get to decide what counts. But yeah, that is it. That's a year of garments, and I'm really proud of what I made. I really love a lot of what I made. I feel like I really settled into my color palette, and I knit a lot of things that were mustard and dark teal and red and neutrals like gray, and I love that. I feel like that is me, and I'm happy to be. I don't feel like every new garment I make has to be different. It's okay for me to knit something that's a similar color to something I already knit, if it means that I'm gonna love it and wear it. So I'm really happy with that and kind of settling into that. And I can't wait for another year of garment making. I think that I've really evolved and like developed into a primarily garment maker. I still make some accessories, I still make some socks and shawls and stuff, but what I really love making the most is garments, and I kind of think about and measure my knitting based on the garments that I've made. And I think that this was a good year of making garments, so I can't wait to start again tomorrow and keep making garments. So thanks for tuning in. I will probably do a more normal project update video in the next like couple weeks. Thanks for being patient with me on that, and here's to more knitting and crafting and crocheting in the new year. So I hope you do lots of knitting and watch lots of baseball. It's not a thing right now. And I hope you have a great week and a great